Yo, what's up guys? Rain here. Just gonna do a quick guide on the Cleric. To start off, we're just gonna look at the perks and skills, and then we can move to stat priority as well as kind of play styles. So what I usually do for Cleric here is starting off right off the bat, I take the advanced healer perk if I'm level 1. It's just gonna make your heals way more valuable. They'll go a lot further. It's really good. Once I hit level 5, I take Perseverance here, which it reduces all types of incoming damage by 3, which you would think wouldn't actually do that much because you have like 94 health, but it's insane on any damage over time effects. So if you get poisoned by a rogue or a lot of the creatures that poison you, especially in the goblin caves, right, those do maybe 4 damage a tick, let's say. And so instead of that, you're actually taking 1 damage a tick, which is like a 75% damage reduction. So it's actually nuts. So we take Perseverance here. And then if you're playing in a team, when you hit level 10, you'll take Kindness. If you're playing in a team before, you can switch out Perseverance for Kindness, depending on if you're in a team or not. So if you're in a team and you're only level 5, you can take these two. If you're not in a team, you take these two. And then Kindness, what it does is when you heal another player, so let's say you heal your teammate for 100 health, that'll heal you for 15 health. And it makes your healing go a lot further, and you can heal other people and get health back. It's just very helpful. And then this last one here that I usually take is Blunt Weapon Mastery. If you want to be a little bit more proficient damage-wise, it's definitely not bad. An alternative that you can use here is like Undead Slaying or Holy Aura. If you're going purely support, you can take Holy Aura. If you think you're going to be hitting some things, take Blunt Weapon Mastery. So I take this a lot more commonly when I have like 2 ranged teammates where I'm kind of the front line, so I'm gonna have to like get my mace out a little bit. Whereas if I'm playing with like Barb or Fighter or whatever, then I'll take Holy Aura instead, because I probably will never get in there with my weapon. And that'll make them more tanky. It's like a 1% damage reduction. It's not huge. If we come over here to physical damage reduction, 34%. So, and that'll increase it by 15 for your armor value. So, yeah, you're getting like 1 or 2% damage reduction from this, so it's not huge, but you can take it. If you are playing solo, there's another build that you can do instead. If you're playing solo, you're going to take Advanced Healer, and you're going to take Perseverance. Kindness is now useless because of that. So I usually go Blunt Weapon Mastery, and then you can usually take Brewmaster here, which means you don't exhibit the detrimental effect from being drunk. Then the other thing you want to switch out is Smite here for Judgment. This is a little bit less of a front line, so if you aren't planning on using your mace a ton, you can take Judgment. Smite allows you to do 10 additional damage every time you hit something for 7 seconds. So you're going to get a 10% damage increase here. So let's say your weapon does 40 damage. So that's 4 damage, so you're doing 44. And then you get another 10 additional magic damage here. So if you went from 40 to 44, now you're going from 44 to 54. And then you also have Brewmaster, which is going to be insane for you, because if we go to the merchant and the tavern, you can buy ale. And this is going to give you another 11 strength for 15 seconds. Which I think is about a 5 damage increase. So now we're up to almost 60 damage on our swings, assuming you have a 40 damage weapon. So we've increased our entire damage by like 30%. And we're not even done yet. So now if we come over here to spells, this is my typical setup for running with a team. So I take Lesser Heal here, which is just the small quick heal. It's 15 base, and then whatever your magical healing and power is added on to that. This is great. You're going to mainly be using this on yourself. Then you have Holy Light, which is a much bigger heal, and it can also be used to kill undead in some situations, but usually it's not worth casting on them. Then you take Divine Strike, which is an additional 5 weapon damage. So you also cast that on yourself, which is going to increase your damage by another 5. So now we're up to like 65 damage a swing. If you hit a headshot, now you're almost at 100. So you can do a ton of damage with this setup. And then we also have Bless, which is going to give you 3 more strength, which is, I think, is another damage or so. It also gives you agility and will, though. And will is what is used to cast spells. So it increases your spell power and your buff duration and all of that. So what you want to do, your typical buff pattern, is going to be cast Bless so that you get the extra potency on your other buffs. And then you'll cast Protection and Divine Strike on yourself. Or on your teammates, right? You do it in this order: Bless, Protection, Divine Strike, because Protection lasts longer than Divine Strike usually. And then they go run in and they do big fat damage. Eventually, if you get enough spell memory here, you can drop Bless and take Sanctuary, which will allow you to do a lot more healing, and it's really nice because it's AoE damage. It does 14 damage per second to undead. So when there's like those rooms with all the hellbats or just a ton of mobs, you can kind of run into the middle and just do like 100 and something damage with your Sanctuary to all the mobs, and usually kill most of them. So once I have enough knowledge, I usually drop Bless for that, and I'll just take these 2, Divine Strike and Protection. Yeah, so that's pretty much the spell setup that I use for the entire thing. You can experiment with Holy Strike. It's okay. If you have enough magic damage, it could be decent. And then the only other thing that you may switch in is drop Bless for Cleanse. And Cleanse is really only useful when you're running bosses. So if you're going to go try to kill the Lich, or you're going to try and kill the Ghost King, Cleanse can be really helpful to get your teammates out of some of their abilities. But outside of that, I would just run Bless. If you're not going specifically for boss kills, this is definitely the setup. If you end up super late game with a ton of memory, there is an option where you drop your smite and start taking like Holy Strike and stuff like that over in this other section. But you need ludicrous amounts of memory to pull it off. So moving along to stat priority now. Come over here. And best in slot gloves, in my opinion, are always going to be Rawhide because of their base 1 knowledge, 1 will. Those are your 2 best stats. Will increases your spell power, improves your buff and curse duration, and improves your base magic resist. And knowledge increases your spell capacity, which is what we were just talking about, as well as your spell casting speed, so you can just pump heals out way quicker if you have high knowledge. And it also says item identification speed. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but anyways. So you've got those right there. And so we're going to be looking for will and knowledge on both of our sets. Will is going to increase how much you heal and how much damage you do with like smite and judgment and things like that. And knowledge is that cast speed and enough memory for all your spells. So Rawhide gloves are going to be your best in slot for gloves. Pants, if you're going more of a tank build, you can go with plate and try and get a will or knowledge roll on them. Those are pretty good. However, if you're going straight for maximum healing, you can go padded leggings, which are these right here, which have a 1 will, 1 knowledge base, and then you can get your 2 blue rolled stats on if they're blue. So you can actually end up here with like 1 knowledge, 1 will, 2 knowledge, 2 will on padded leggings, whereas this would be limited to like 2 knowledge, 2 will. So you can actually get an extra knowledge and will with padded leggings. However, you drop from 36 armor down to like 15, so you're way less tanky. I think a lot of the times the tanky armor is worth running, in my opinion, but if you have a really solid front line and you're good at kiting and reacting to rogues, the padded stuff starts becoming more viable. Same with like Oracle Robe, whereas this doesn't have the base knowledge. You can switch those out for a lower armor option that gives you more stats. Spellbook, you'll want either will or knowledge on it. Same thing with necklace. The other thing that's beneficial for us is strength. It's just going to increase your max health and make your melee hits do a little bit more damage. One thing to take note of here is that strength or sorry, not strength, knowledge or will on your morning star and your shield and things like that actually doesn't really matter at all, because you're always going to want to use your spells while you're holding your spell book, because that's going to give you the magical power. And so you can't actually cast a spell while you're holding a mace or a shield, which means any magical stuff on here actually has no effect. So on your morning star, you're actually going to want weapon damage and strength, stuff like that. It's going to be way better for you than having like will and magic. Same thing with the shield. Boot wise, I try and go for lightfoots most of the time. Just the move speed on those is going to be best compared to basically anything else. If you are going a full tank build, you can also go plate boots here and try and get like knowledge or will on them. And then same thing for rings. An ideal ring is going to be, honestly, that one's pretty good. Strength, knowledge, will. They're usually the ring of pieces that are going to, or ring of resolve, are going to have the best stats for you. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it as far as my guide to Cleric goes. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Catch you guys later.